Despite a plea for unity in the Council, there was little in evidence. The emergency session, originally called by 9 Security Council members, and the new British ambassador summed up the majority position.
Options are on the table. We will want to evaluate those in the light of what we know. We prefer to start with a proper investigation, but we will keep in touch with our very close allies, US and France.
From the Russian ambassador, though, an alternative narrative. His argument that any chemical attack would have been carried out by opposition groups under the direction of American advisors. An alternative narrative. His argument that any chemical attack would have been carried out by opposition groups under the direction of American advisors. Alternative narrative. His argument that any chemical attack would have been carried out by opposition groups under the direction of American advisors. The intent, he claimed, to justify military action against the Syrian government, and scathing words directed at the US ambassador across the chamber.
You're misguided if you think you have friends. The so-called friends of yours are only those who cannot say no to you, and this is the sole criterion for friendship in your understanding.
The US has proposed the establishment of a UN investigative mechanism with an initial 1-year mandate to identify perpetrators of chemical attacks. And while calling for Security Council action, the ambassador made a not-so-veiled threat.
History will record this as the moment when the Security Council either discharged its duty or demonstrated its utter and complete failure to protect the people of Syria. Either way, the United States will respond.
As the Western allies gathered in intense conversation, the possibility that in the face of ongoing Security Council division, some members could contemplate unilateral and forceful action. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, United Nations.
They are leaving from the last rebel pocket in eastern Ghouta. Douma has surrendered. Up to 8,000 fighters from the Jaish al-Islam rebel group and more than 40,000 of their family members and anyone else who wants to leave are being bussed out of this city. The Russian military has given them safe passage to rebel-held areas in northern Syria as part of a deal that also involved Jaish al-Islam releasing all of its prisoners, many of them held for years, and among them women and children. They arrived at a government-controlled crossing late on Sunday. The deal came after a suspected chemical attack in the city that killed dozens of people. Doctors and rescue workers say many of the victims suffocated and foamed at the mouth, symptoms indicative of exposure to some kind of chemical agent. Damascus and its backer Moscow dismissed the claims as fabrication. It isn't the first time chemical weapons are believed to have been used by the Syrian government against civilians. Hours after the attack, Jaish al-Islam agreed to return to the negotiating table. It wasn't clear why the initial deal collapsed on Friday, but when it did, the pro-government alliance launched an all-out military offensive to pile pressure on the rebel group. The evacuation deal reached, or what amounts to a surrender, is similar to the agreement with 2 other rebel factions in eastern Ghouta who gave up after a fierce bombing campaign. Jaish al-Islam was hoping for a different deal that would allow it to remain in control of Douma, but under the overall jurisdiction of the government. That didn't happen. What they did manage to get is a guarantee that Russia's military police will enter the city and those who chose to stay won't be harassed or detained by state security forces. Much of Douma is now rubble. The largest urban center in the eastern suburbs of Damascus has been a target since opposition fighters captured the area in 2013. It was the main hub of anti-government protests close to the capital, and from there, rebels were able to threaten the government's seat of power by frequently launching rockets into neighborhoods. 7 years later, the pro-government alliance is declaring victory, but the 7-week offensive killed nearly 2,000 civilians. This is the worst defeat suffered by the opposition since the fall of Aleppo in late 2016. Zana Khudr, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
Okay. Now, I don't believe that Assad launched chemical weapons against his people. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for many reasons. And the first reason is that every time the US and Israel decide to go into war, they spread propaganda. They've been doing it for years. They've been doing it for years. They did it with what's this guy's name? The guy in Venezuela. I can't remember his name right now. He died the other day. They did it with Castro. They even did it with Jamaica. They did it with Maurice Bishop down there in Grenada. They did it with oh my gosh, what's wrong with my mind today? I'm not feeling well, guys. But they did it with the guy there in Iraq, the one they hung, Saddam Hussein. Then they came out and said, well, there was no weapons of mass destruction over there. And also they did it with Libya, Colonel Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi, which that one really did. That was really hurtful, you know, because that guy, he took care of his people down there. Now, the second reason I don't believe that Assad did it is because I don't think that guy is so stupid to see and watch the US and their allies take down the Iraqi guy. I just call his name. Yeah, the guy they hung, Saddam Hussein, Muammar Gaddafi, all these guys. I think they had war in Jordan, or was it Jordan or Georgia, some time ago. But they took down so many leaders. So you're telling me that Assad is that stupid to make himself a target? I don't believe that. I don't. And I just found it so ironical that I think it was like 2-3 days ago, President Trump said he was going to pull his troops out of Syria. And then right after that, Israel did an airstrike on Syria. Because, you know, America helps Israel. Whenever Israel is in trouble, you know, America runs into the booth and takes off their suit and jump out that booth like Clark Kent and go to save the day for these Israelis. Yeah. So we're looking at a war here because Russia is backing Syria. And you know, America and Russia, they've been having their cold wars in the 80s, in the 70s and 80s. Russia is now back. And they have the election wars. They're saying Russia tapped into their system and, you know, did whatever they did to the elections. My mind is not working pretty well right now, as I'm under the weather. But you know what I mean. So is this World War III? I don't know. I hope not. But I'm imploring to you guys to stock up on food, save your money, stop giving it to these women, get cheap cars, 4-cylinder cars, because gas price is gonna go up, okay? Whenever there's war, prices go up on things. Food is scarce, everything is scarce. No, I don't buy this chemical warfare thing. I don't believe it. Because here in America, Monsanto is killing people with chemicals. Yeah, it's chemicals in our food. People are dying. People are getting fat. And obesity is one of the number one killers in America. People have to go to the pharmacy to get pills and to the doctors to get pills, and these pills are killing people. That's chemical warfare to me, if you ask me. Over there in Europe, you know that GMO foods cannot be on the shelves. They don't allow that. People are getting sick because of chemicals in the food and the chemicals that are being sprayed on fruits, vegetables, and stuff like that. So, isn't that chemical warfare? So, so why are we not concerned about the chemical warfare here? And people are turning their eyes on Damascus. What is there in Damascus that they want? The last time I checked, it's a hellhole or a shithole or third world countries. And we know how a lot of Americans feel about third world countries. So why do they keep going down there in these third world countries? Why do they have this interest in third world countries? Since they're hellholes and shitholes. I don't get it. Well, some people say it's a religious war because Syria is the center of the earth. I was watching a video where this guy was trying to explain that Syria is the center of the earth. I have to do more research on that. I'm not saying he's lying. I'm not saying he's being truthful because I really don't know. But the scripture says a lot of things about Damascus and, and stuff like that. I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to say anything that's wrong. I have to do my research again, but something is brewing and it's going to get worse. So guys, prepare yourselves. Yeah, I'm out.